Born with hair split between snow white and vivid crimson, Auralis Veyra was thrown away as a baby and raised as a broken slave. For as long as she could remember, Auralis had known nothing but cruelty and shadows. The other wolves mocked her two-toned hair, calling it a curse, a mark of evil. They forced her into endless servitude under the heartless Luna Larathia, who delighted in reminding her every single day how worthless and cursed she was. But inside her mind, a gentle voice kept whispering, at first soft, then growing stronger. It was her wolf, Lunara. Lunara told her she was no cursed orphan. She revealed that Auralis was born a princess, the rightful heir to a powerful kingdom, that her own uncle, the treacherous Zorath Veyra, had murdered her parents and thrown her away as a helpless infant so he could steal the throne for himself. Auralis never believed her. How could she? A powerless slave with no wolf to show, no family, and no hope. Every time Lunara spoke, Auralis would push her away. "Be quiet," she would whisper in her mind. "You're only making the pain worse." But Lunara never gave up. "If you cannot believe your own wolf," she would say softly, "who will you ever believe?" And when Auralis still doubted her, Lunara warned, "One day, I will have no choice but to come out and show them the truth." That day came on the night of the blood moon. The crimson moon rose high above the Blackthorn Pack lands, bathing everything in a glowing red light. Power hummed in the air like an ancient song, and for the first time in her life, Auralis's body answered the call. Her rare white-crimson wolf awakened in front of the entire pack, majestic and powerful, with flowing crimson-red fur and brilliant white markings, ancient tribal patterns glowing across her body, and a turquoise pendant shining at her chest. The pack gasped in shock and fear, and then he saw her. Alpha King Corvath Riven, the most feared and powerful ruler in the realm. In that single electric moment, the ancient mate bond ignited between them like lightning from the stars. Before the eyes of everyone, the cold Alpha King did the unthinkable. He publicly rejected his chosen Luna. For her. The heavy wooden brush scraped against the cold marble floor of Luna Larathia's chambers, each stroke sending fresh pain through Auralis Veyra's already raw hands. Her knees ached from hours spent kneeling, and her thin gray dress offered little protection against the chill that seeped through the stone. Yet she kept working, head bowed, because stopping was never an option. "Faster, you worthless girl!" Luna Larathia's sharp voice cut through the air like a whip. The beautiful but cruel Luna lounged on her velvet chaise. "The blood moon ceremony is tonight, and everything must be perfect. If the Alpha King finds even one speck of dust in my chambers, I will make sure you regret it." Auralis kept her eyes down, her two-toned hair, one side pure snow white, the other vivid crimson, falling like a curtain around her face. The other wolves loved to mock that hair. "Cursed child," they called her. "Bad omen. Monster." The split colors had marked her as different from the day she was found as a baby on the border of Blackthorn Pack lands. She was nothing here, just a rogue slave, invisible, worthless. "You are not worthless," a soft, familiar voice whispered inside her mind. "You are so much more than they know." Auralis's hands stilled for a brief moment. Lunara, her wolf, the voice that had been with her for years, growing louder as she approached her 24th year. "Not now, Lunara," Auralis thought back, scrubbing harder. "Please, I can't deal with your stories today." But Lunara refused to stay silent. "Auralis, listen to me. You were not born a slave. You were born a princess, the rightful heir to the ancient Veyra kingdom. Your parents were noble and kind. They loved you deeply." Auralis let out a shaky breath, her heart tightening. She had heard this tale many times, yet it never became easier to hear. "Lunara, stop," she pleaded silently. "You're only making it hurt more." "Your uncle, Zoroth Veyra betrayed them, Lunara continued, her voice gentle but firm. He murdered your parents in cold blood and seized the throne for himself. Then he ordered you thrown away as a helpless infant, hoping you would die in the wilds. But the moon goddess protected you. That is why you survived. That is why I am here. Tears stung Auralis's eyes. She blinked them away fiercely. Be quiet, she whispered under her breath. You're only making the pain worse. I'm not a princess. I'm nothing. Just look at me, scrubbing floors while they laugh. Larathia's sharp eyes narrowed. Are you talking to yourself again, slave? Have you finally lost what little mind you had? Auralis lowered her head even further. No, my Luna. Forgive me. Larathia smirked, clearly satisfied. Good. Now finish your work. The Alpha King, Korvath Riven, arrives this evening for the Blood Moon ceremony. He is the most powerful ruler in all the territories. Cold, ruthless, and unforgiving. Everything must be flawless. As soon as Larathia turned away, Lunara's voice returned, stronger this time. You must believe me, Auralis. You carry royal blood. Your white crimson wolf is no curse. She is a symbol of ancient power. If you keep denying me, I will have no choice but to come out and show them the truth myself. Auralis's heart raced. Don't you dare. They'll kill me if I shift into something monstrous. Please, Lunara, just stay hidden. If you cannot believe your own wolf, Lunara replied softly, who will you ever believe? The time is coming, Auralis. Tonight, under the blood moon, everything will change. Auralis swallowed hard, fear and exhaustion weighing on her shoulders. She finished scrubbing the floor in silence, her two-toned hair catching the light as she moved. Outside, servants hurried through the halls, whispering excitedly about the arrival of the Alpha King. Deep down, a tiny spark of something, hope perhaps, or fear, flickered in her chest. But she pushed it away, just as she always pushed Lunara away. She was only a slave, and slaves did not have destinies. Yet as the sun began to set and the first hints of crimson touched the horizon, Auralis couldn't shake the feeling that tonight, her hidden wolf might finally refuse to stay silent. The entire Blackthorn pack buzzed with nervous energy as the sun dipped below the horizon. Servants rushed through the grand halls carrying trays of gleaming silver and fresh floral arrangements. Torches were lit along the stone pathways leading to the ceremonial clearing, their flames dancing in anticipation of the blood moon. Tonight was no ordinary gathering. The Alpha King himself was arriving. Auralis moved like a shadow among them, her arms laden with heavy silk garments for Luna Larathia. Her two-toned hair was tucked hastily under a plain gray scarf, though a few crimson and white strands still escaped, catching the torchlight like forbidden flames. "Bring those faster, you clumsy fool!" Larathia snapped from her dressing chamber. She stood before a tall mirror, admiring the way her golden gown hugged her figure. "The king will be here any moment. I must look flawless for my mate." Auralis lowered her gaze and hurried forward, placing the garments carefully on the chaise. A strange sensation stirred in her chest, a warm, tugging pull that made her breath catch. She had felt it once before, years ago, when the Alpha King had visited briefly. She quickly pushed the feeling aside. He is an Alpha King, she reminded herself. Married, powerful, and I am nothing but the cursed slave. Lunara's voice bloomed softly in her mind, gentle yet insistent. That pull you feel is real, Auralis. It is the beginning of something greater. Your royal blood calls to his strength. Auralis bit her lip and turned to leave the room, but Larathia's voice stopped her. "You will serve at the welcome feast tonight," the Luna commanded with a cruel smile. "Stay in the background and do not embarrass me. One wrong move, and I will have you whipped before the entire pack." Auralis nodded silently and slipped out of the chambers. Her heart pounded as she made her way toward the grand entrance hall. The sound of heavy hooves and powerful voices echoed from outside. He had arrived. Alpha King Corvath Riven strode through the massive oak doors like a force of nature. Tall and broad-shouldered, with raven-black hair and piercing silver eyes, he carried an aura of raw power that made everyone in the hall instinctively lower their heads. His dark cloak billowed behind him as he moved, his expression cold and unreadable. Luna Larathia glided forward to greet him, her voice dripping with sweetness. "My king, everything is prepared for the Blood Moon ceremony." Corvath gave a slight nod, his gaze sweeping across the hall with indifference. For a brief moment, his eyes passed over Oralis where she stood in the shadows, holding a tray of wine goblets. That strange pull flared again, stronger this time, sending a shiver down her spine. She quickly looked away, cheeks burning with shame. "He didn't even notice me," she thought. "As it should be." "He will notice you soon enough," Lunara whispered, her tone warm with certainty. "Your parents were beloved rulers, Oralis. Your father was a just king with a mighty wolf. Your mother had the gentlest heart and the strongest spirit. Zorath tore them apart with betrayal and dark magic. He stole everything from you. But their blood still runs in your veins. You are their legacy." Oralis's grip tightened on the tray until her knuckles turned white. Doubt and fear warred inside her. "Stop it, Lunara, please. Stories like that only bring more pain. I'm not a princess. I'm just me. A cursed slave with freakish hair and a voice in her head that won't be quiet." Lunara's voice grew firmer, laced with quiet urgency. "You must start believing, Oralis. The blood moon is rising. Your true self can no longer stay hidden. If you keep denying who you are, I will have no choice but to show them." Oralis trembled slightly as she moved through the crowd, offering wine to the guests. She stole one more glance at the Alpha King. He stood tall beside Larathia, listening to her chatter with clear boredom. Yet something about him felt familiar, safe, even though that made no sense at all. As the ceremonial drums began to sound in the distance, calling everyone toward the clearing, Oralis felt the first faint stirrings of power deep in her bones. The blood moon was almost at its peak, and with it, something inside her was awakening. The ceremonial clearing was alive with anticipation. Torches flickered around the ancient stone circle, casting long shadows that danced across the gathered pack. The blood moon hung low on the horizon, its deep crimson glow growing stronger with every passing minute. Power thickened the air like invisible mist, making it hard for Oralis to breathe normally. She stood at the very edge of the gathering, half hidden behind a tall oak tree, her thin gray dress blending into the darkness. Her role was simple: stay out of sight, serve when called, and disappear again. But tonight, something felt different. The pull in her chest had grown stronger since the Alpha King's arrival, and Lunara's voice refused to fall silent. Luna Larathia stood proudly at the center of the circle beside Alpha King Corvath Riven, her golden gown shimmering under the red moonlight. She laughed loudly, placing a possessive hand on the king's arm as she addressed the pack. "Tonight, under this sacred blood moon, we celebrate strength and loyalty," Larathia declared, her voice ringing with false sweetness. "As your Luna, I am honored to stand beside our mighty king. Let no one forget who holds true power here." The pack murmured in agreement, many casting admiring glances at the beautiful Luna. Larathia's eyes swept the crowd and briefly landed on Oralis. A cruel smile curved her lips as she raised her voice again. "And let us remember that even the lowliest among us must know their place," she added pointedly. "Cursed blood has no place among the worthy." A few wolves snickered, their eyes flicking toward Oralis's hiding spot. She lowered her head, her two-toned hair falling forward to shield her face. The familiar shame burned in her chest. "Do not listen to her lies," Lunara whispered urgently inside her mind. "She knows nothing of true power. Let me show you what really happened the night your parents were taken from you." Aurelis closed her eyes tightly. "Please, Lunara, not now. I can't." But the wolf's voice continued, gentle yet filled with sorrow. "It was a dark night, much like this one. Your father, King Vayra, trusted his brother Zorath. They were in the royal hall when Zorath struck. He used dark magic and traitorous guards. Your mother tried to protect you, hiding you in a secret chamber. She fought bravely, but Zorath was merciless. He killed them both and ordered you thrown into the wilds to die. That is why you carry both white and crimson in your hair, the purity of your mother and the fierce blood of your father." Tears slipped down Aurelis's cheeks before she could stop them. She wiped them away angrily. "Stop it," she whispered under her breath. "This is my curse talking. You're just a voice in my head, a sign that I'm broken. Princesses don't scrub floors. Princesses don't get beaten for breathing too loudly." "You are not broken," Lunara replied, her tone steady and loving. "You are powerful. The blood moon is calling to your true self." Aurelis's hands trembled as she clutched the edge of her dress. Doubt and fear twisted inside her like thorns. She wanted to believe the voice. Part of her desperately longed for it to be real, but years of pain had taught her that hope only led to greater heartbreak. The ceremonial drums grew louder. The pack began to chant ancient words as the blood moon climbed higher, bathing the clearing in intense crimson light. Alpha King Corvath stood tall and imposing, his silver eyes scanning the gathering with cool detachment. For one fleeting second, his gaze seemed to linger near Aurelis's hiding spot. A sharp pain suddenly pierced Aurelis's chest. She gasped softly, doubling over slightly. Heat bloomed under her skin, followed by a strange tingling in her bones. The sensation was new and terrifying. The ceremony had truly begun, and something deep inside her was answering the moon's call. The pain intensified with every beat of Aurelis's heart. It started as a deep ache in her bones and quickly spread like wildfire through her veins. She clutched the rough bark of the oak tree, trying desperately to stay hidden in the shadows, but her body was no longer her own. The blood moon hung directly overhead now, its crimson light pouring down like liquid fire, bathing the entire clearing in a glowing red hue. The pack's chants grew louder, echoing through the night as ancient magic filled the air. Aurelis, falling to her knees. "No, not here," she whispered. Lunara's voice rang clear and strong inside her mind. "It is time, Aurelis. Do not fight me. Embrace who you truly are." White-hot light exploded around her. Her two-toned hair, snow white on one side, vivid crimson on the other, began to glow. Bones shifted and reformed, but instead of agony, a strange warmth and power surged through her. Fur erupted across her skin, rich, flowing crimson red, covering her back, head, and tail, beautifully contrasted by brilliant white markings on her chest, legs, and muzzle. Elegant tribal swirl patterns shimmered across the crimson sections like ancient runes brought to life. Her eyes glowed a striking emerald green, and around her neck appeared a delicate chain holding a glowing turquoise pendant that pulsed with soft, ethereal light. In moments, where Aurelis the slave had knelt, now stood a majestic white-crimson wolf, larger and more regal than any ordinary wolf, radiating power and grace. The chanting stopped abruptly. Gasps and shocked murmurs rippled through the entire pack. Wolves stepped back in awe and fear, staring at the breathtaking creature that had appeared before them. What is that?" someone whispered. "A monster!" another voice cried out. Luna Larathia's face twisted in horror and disgust. "Kill it! That abomination has no place here!" But the majestic white-crimson wolf stood tall, its green eyes shining with quiet strength. Inside Aralis's mind, Lunara's voice rang clear and triumphant. "Now they will see the truth." Aralis trembled within her wolf form, overwhelmed by the flood of sensations. The world looked sharper, smelled richer, and felt alive in ways she had never imagined. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel weak or cursed. She felt powerful. Yet fear still gripped her heart. What would they do to her now? The crowd parted as Alpha King Corvath Riven stepped forward, his powerful presence commanding silence. His silver eyes locked onto the white-crimson wolf with an intensity that made the air itself seem to still. He saw her, and in that moment, everything changed. The entire clearing fell into stunned silence as the majestic white-crimson wolf stood bathed in the blood moon's glow. Whispers spread like wildfire through the pack, but no one dared move. Alpha King Corvath Riven stood motionless for a long moment, his sharp silver eyes fixed on the breathtaking creature before him. Then something shifted in his expression. His powerful frame tensed, and a low, resonant sound rumbled from his chest. Not a growl of anger, but something deeper, more primal. The ancient mate bond snapped into place like a golden thread pulled taut by the moon goddess herself. Corvath's eyes widened, then darkened with fierce recognition and protectiveness. He took one powerful step forward, then another, until he stood directly in front of the white-crimson wolf. The pack held its breath. Luna Larathia rushed forward, her face flushed with rage. "My king, what are you doing? That thing is an abomination! Order it destroyed at once!" Corvath turned slowly toward her. His voice, when it came, was cold and commanding, carrying across the entire clearing with absolute authority. "I, Alpha King Corvath Riven, hereby reject you, Larathia, as my Luna." Gasps erupted from every corner of the gathering. Larathia staggered back as if struck. "What?" she hissed, her voice rising in disbelief. "You cannot be serious! We are bound by alliance. My family's power supports your rule across the territories. You married me for political strength." Corvath's expression remained unmoved, his silver eyes steady. "I married you for political reasons. It was a union of convenience and duty. But the moon goddess has spoken tonight. This white-crimson wolf is my true fated mate. The bond is clear and unbreakable. I will not deny it." He turned back to the majestic wolf, his voice softening with surprising gentleness. "You are mine, my destined mate. No one will harm you." Larathia's face twisted with humiliation and fury. "This is madness! You would cast me aside for a cursed slave? A freak with freakish fur? My family will not stand for this insult. They will withdraw their support. They will bring war upon you." The pack murmured uneasily, but Corvath raised a hand, silencing them instantly. "Let them come. I will face whatever consequences arise, but I will not live another day denying the mate the moon has chosen for me." Inside the white-crimson wolf, Aralis felt completely overwhelmed. The king's powerful presence wrapped around her like a warm shield. His words, his protective stance, the intensity in his silver eyes. It was all too much. Her heart raced wildly. She could feel the strength of the mate bond pulsing between them, calling to something deep within her soul. "He chose me?" she thought in disbelief. Lunara's voice glowed with quiet joy. "He feels it too. This is only the beginning, Aralis. Your true life is starting now." Aralis trembled in her wolf form, torn between fear of what this meant and a fragile spark of hope she had never dared to feel before. The cold, feared Alpha King had just rejected his powerful Luna. For her. And in that moment, the entire world seemed to shift on its axis. The clearing remained deathly silent as Alpha King Corvath Riven stood protectively in front of the majestic white-crimson wolf. His broad frame cast a shadow that seemed to shield her from the shocked and hostile stares of the pack. "Come," he said, his deep voice in a way no one had ever heard from the feared ruler. "You are safe now. Shift back, little one. I will not let anyone harm you." Aralis hesitated inside her wolf form. The power still hummed through her, but the overwhelming rush of emotions made her want to retreat. Slowly, the white light returned, and her body began to change once more. The crimson and white fur receded, replaced by smooth skin. Her two-toned hair cascaded down her back, snow white on one side, vivid crimson on the other, as she returned to her human form, kneeling on the cool grass in her torn gray dress. She felt exposed, vulnerable. The entire pack was staring at her. Corvath removed his heavy dark cloak and draped it carefully around her shoulders, the rich fabric warm from his body heat. He knelt to her level, his silver eyes filled with a surprising tenderness that made her breath catch. "You are no longer a slave," he said, so only she could hear. "You are under my protection now. No one will touch you." Aralis looked up at him, her heart pounding. This was the same cold Alpha King who had ruled with an iron fist. Yet here he was, shielding her, speaking to her with such unexpected gentleness. It felt like a dream she was afraid to believe in. I don't understand," she, her voice trembling. "Why are you doing this? I'm just me." Lunara's voice glowed warmly in her mind. "Because he feels the bond, Aralis. Trust it. Trust him. This is your destiny." Corvath helped her to her feet, keeping one strong hand lightly on her shoulder for support. "The moon goddess has chosen you as my true mate. I have waited many years for this moment. You are mine to protect now." He guided her away from the stunned crowd, leading her toward the grand pack house with Larathia's furious gaze burning into their backs. Once inside a quiet chamber reserved for honored guests, Corvath motioned for her to sit on a soft, cushioned bench. He poured her a cup of water and handed it to her with steady hands. Aralis sipped slowly, still struggling to accept this sudden change in her reality. Only hours ago she had been scrubbing floors. Now a king was tending to her. "I have endured so much," she said, the words slipping out before she could stop them. "The mockery, the beatings, years of being told I was cursed because of my hair. I thought I would die in that life." Corvath listened without interruption, his expression darkening with quiet anger at her suffering. Not at her, but for her. "You will never endure such pain again," he vowed, his voice. "Tell me more when you are ready. For now, rest. You are safe." Lunara whispered, "See? He is different. Open your heart, Aralis. The bond will guide you." For the first time in years, Aralis felt a small crack in the walls she had built around her heart. As she sat there wrapped in the king's cloak, fragments of her painful past began to surface. The endless cruelty, the loneliness, the doubt. And for the first time, she didn't feel completely alone. The quiet chamber was bathed in soft moonlight, filtering through tall, arched windows. The distant sounds of the pack outside felt far away, as if the world had paused just for them. Aralis sat wrapped in Corvath's cloak, still trying to process everything that had happened. The Alpha King sat across from her in a sturdy wooden chair, his powerful presence somehow comforting rather than intimidating. Lunara's voice came gently inside Aralis's mind. "This is a safe moment, Aralis. Let me show you more. Your parents deserve to be remembered." Aralis closed her eyes for a moment. Images began to flow through her mind, not just words, but feelings and fleeting visions. "My parents," she whispered aloud, her voice barely above a breath. Lunara says they were king and queen of the Veyra kingdom. My father was a strong and just ruler with a powerful wolf. My mother was kind and wise, with a gentle spirit. They loved me deeply. But my uncle Zorath betrayed them. He murdered them in their own hall and stole the throne. He threw me away as a baby so no one could challenge his claim. Tears welled in her eyes as she spoke. I never knew them. I never even knew their names until Lunara told me. All these years, I thought I was just nothing. Corvath listened with complete attention, his silver eyes softening with understanding. He leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on his knees. I am sorry for the pain you have carried alone, he said, his deep voice warm and sincere. Losing family to betrayal leaves scars that never fully fade. I know this well. Oralis looked up at him, surprised by the vulnerability in his tone. The feared Alpha King rarely showed this side of himself. Corvath continued quietly. I built walls around my heart long ago. My own parents were taken from me in a brutal pack war when I was young. After that, I learned that power and duty were safer than love. I married Larathia for the strength of her family's alliances, not for affection. I told myself it was enough, that I didn't need anything more. He reached out slowly and took her hand in his touch surprisingly gentle for such a powerful man. But the moment I saw your wolf under the blood moon, everything changed. The bond awakened something I had buried for years. For the first time in a long time, I feel hope. A soft warmth spread through Oralis's chest. The first delicate sparks of romance flickered between them, not overwhelming, but real and tender. She didn't pull her hand away. Lunara whispered lovingly, He speaks from the heart. This bond is real, Oralis. You are no longer alone. I have been so afraid to believe anything good could happen to me, Oralis admitted, her voice trembling slightly. But sitting here with you, it feels different. Like maybe Lunara was right all along. Corvath gave her hand a gentle squeeze. We will face the past together. Your Uncle Zorath and Larathia may try to fight this, but I will protect you with everything I am. You are my true mate, Oralis Veyra, and I will help you reclaim the destiny that was stolen from you. In that quiet moment, surrounded by the soft glow of moonlight, the walls around both their hearts began to crack just a little more. Understanding flowed between them, tender and genuine, planting the first seeds of a deeper connection. Yet outside, the night still held dangers. Larathia's anger and Zorath's shadow loomed on the horizon. Deep in the shadows of the Blackthorn packhouse, Luna Larathia paced furiously in a hidden chamber. The humiliation of the blood moon still burned in her chest like poison. She had been cast aside in front of the entire pack, replaced by a cursed slave with freakish hair. But Larathia was not one to accept defeat. She had summoned a mysterious black priestess known for her dark visions and forbidden knowledge. Under the flicker of black candles, the priestess had revealed the truth about Oralis Veyra, her royal bloodline, the murdered parents, and the powerful white-crimson wolf she carried. Larathia's eyes gleamed with malice as she wrote an urgent message and sent it with her most trusted spy. The message reached Uncle Zorath Veyra within hours. In his stolen throne room far away, Zorath read the letter with growing interest. A cruel smile spread across his face. So the discarded whelp survived, he muttered. And now she threatens everything I built. Through secret channels, Larathia and Zorath formed a treacherous alliance. They would work together to eliminate Oralis and bring down Alpha King Corvath. In return, Larathia would regain her status, and Zorath would secure his stolen kingdom once and for all. By morning, rumors had begun to spread through the pack like wildfire. Whispers of the cursed slave who stole the king's heart. Accusations that Oralis was using dark magic. Warnings that her presence would bring war and ruin. Aurelus stood on a quiet balcony overlooking the training grounds, trying to process the sudden shift in the air. She could feel the hostile glances and hear the hushed conversations that stopped whenever she passed by. They hate me even more now, she thought, doubt creeping back into her heart. What if they're right? What if I really am bringing danger to everyone? Lunara's voice came steady and reassuring inside her mind. Do not let their jealousy poison your spirit, Aurelus. They fear what they cannot control. You are stronger than their whispers. Your parents' blood runs true in your veins. Aurelus took a deep breath, placing her hand over her heart where the faint image of the turquoise pendant still lingered in her memory. I'm scared, Lunara, she whispered. I finally have a chance at something good, and now it feels like everything is trying to tear it away. Fear is natural, Lunara replied gently, but you are no longer the helpless slave they once knew. Feel the power of your wolf. Let it strengthen you. Together, we will face whatever comes. For the first time, Aurelus didn't push the voice away. Instead, she leaned into it. A quiet strength began to bloom inside her, fragile but growing. She straightened her shoulders and lifted her chin, her two-toned hair catching the morning light like a banner of defiance. Corvath appeared beside her moments later, his presence instantly calming some of her fears. I have heard the rumors, he said, his voice low and protective. Do not worry. I will keep you safe. But deep down, Aurelus knew the real storm was only beginning. Larathia and Zorath were uniting in the shadows, and their alliance would test everything she was just beginning to believe in. A heavy tension settled over the Blackthorn packhouse by midday. Messengers arrived on exhausted horses, bearing grim news from the borders. Zorath Veyra had mobilized his forces, and through secret messengers, he had sealed his alliance with the rejected Luna Larathia. Together, they planned a strike, to eliminate Aurelus and challenge Corvath's rule. When Corvath received the report in the war chamber, his expression turned to steel. Aurelus stood nearby, her two-toned hair tied back, listening with growing unease. They are coming for me, she whispered, fear flickering in her eyes. Because of who I am, or who I'm supposed to be. Corvath crossed the room in 2 strides and gently cupped her face in his large, warm hands, forcing her to meet his steady silver gaze. Let them come, he vowed, his voice deep and unwavering. I will protect you with my life, Aurelus. You are my fated mate. No alliance of traitors will take you from me. I swear it on the moon goddess herself. His words wrapped around her heart like a shield. For the first time, the walls of doubt inside Aurelus began to truly crumble. Lunara's voice filled her mind with quiet strength. He speaks the truth, and so do I. Your parents gave their lives so you could live. Their sacrifice was not in vain. You carry their legacy, the white of your mother's purity and the crimson of your father's courage. Aurelus closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. This time, she didn't push Lunara away. I believe you, she whispered silently. I believe you, Lunara. I am their daughter. I am the lost princess of Veyra. A wave of warmth and power surged through her as the truth finally settled in her soul. The constant weight she had carried for years began to lift. Later that afternoon, Corvath took her to a secluded training glade deep within the forest. Golden sunlight filtered through the trees, and the air felt alive with possibility. It is time to connect with your wolf, Corvath said, standing protectively nearby. Not in fear, but in strength. Aurelus nodded, determination shining in her eyes. She stepped into the center of the glade and closed her eyes. Lunara's voice guided her gently. Breathe with me. Feel the bond between us. We are one. The shift came more smoothly this time. White light enveloped her as she transformed into her majestic white-crimson wolf. Rich crimson-red fur gleamed beside brilliant white markings, the elegant tribal patterns glowing softly. The turquoise pendant shimmered at her chest. She felt powerful, graceful, and completely herself. Corvath watched with awe and pride. "Beautiful," he murmured. Under Lunara's guidance, Oralis moved through the glade, running with incredible speed, leaping over fallen logs with ease, and practicing controlled shifts between forms. With every movement, she felt more connected to her wolf, more connected to the parents she had never known, and more connected to the destiny that had been stolen from her. When she finally shifted back, breathing hard but glowing with new confidence, Corvath approached and wrapped her in a warm embrace. "You are no longer hiding," he said softly, resting his chin on top of her two-toned hair. "You are awakening, and I will stand beside you through it all." Oralis leaned into his strength, feeling the first true sparks of trust and affection bloom between them. The uncle's shadow was growing darker, but for the first time, she felt ready to face it. The first attack came without warning, under the cover of dusk. Oralis and Corvath were walking together along a moonlit forest path near the pack borders when arrows whistled through the trees. Corvath reacted instantly, pulling Oralis behind him with one powerful arm while drawing his sword with the other. "Stay close," he commanded, his voice steady and protective. From the shadows emerged a group of warriors, some bearing Larathia's colors, others wearing the insignia of Zorath Vera. The treacherous alliance had struck earlier than expected. Oralis's heart pounded as she pressed against Corvath's back. Fear tried to take hold, but she refused to let it win. Lunara's voice rang clear and strong in her mind. "Trust yourself. Trust him. We are not helpless anymore." One attacker lunged toward them. Corvath met him with fierce precision, defending Oralis while keeping her shielded. In the chaos, another assailant slipped past and grabbed for her arm. Without thinking, Oralis twisted free and felt the shift begin. White light flashed as she transformed into her majestic white-crimson wolf, her crimson and white fur glowing under the moonlight. With a powerful leap, she knocked the attacker away, protecting Corvath's flank. The king glanced at her with fierce pride. "Together!" he called. Side by side, Wolf and Alpha fought back the ambush. Corvath's strength was unmatched, while Oralis's speed and agility turned the tide. The attackers eventually retreated into the trees, leaving behind only silence and the echo of their failed assault. Corvath dropped to one knee beside Oralis's wolf form. He rested a gentle hand on her snow-white shoulder. "You were incredible," he said softly. "You protected me as much as I protected you." Oralis shifted back, her two-toned hair slightly disheveled, but her eyes shining with new resolve. Corvath wrapped his cloak around her once more and pulled her into a warm embrace. They sat together against a sturdy tree, the danger temporarily past. "I was so scared," Oralis admitted, her voice trembling as she leaned into his chest. "But I didn't freeze. I trusted Lunara, and I trusted you." Lunara spoke warmly inside her mind. "This is what trust feels like, Oralis. You are growing stronger every moment." Corvath held her closer, his hand gently stroking her hair. "I have guarded my heart for so long," he confessed quietly. "But fighting beside you tonight, it showed me what true partnership means. You are not just my mate. You are my equal, my strength." Oralis looked up at him, their faces close in the moonlight. The bond between them deepened in that shared moment of vulnerability and courage. Heartfelt words flowed easily now, stories of past loneliness, hopes for the future, and quiet promises of protection. "I believe in us," Oralis whispered. "I believe in Lunara, and I believe in you, Corvath." He pressed his forehead gently against hers. "Then we will face whatever comes next, together." The early attack had tested them, but instead of breaking their bond, the danger had forged it stronger. Oralis felt truly seen, truly protected, and truly beginning to trust. Yet she knew the greatest battle still lay ahead. The day of reckoning arrived under a stormy sky. Uncle Zoroth Veyra and the rejected Luna Larathia had united their forces in a final, desperate assault on Blackthorn territory. Their combined army marched to the edges of the sacred forest, determined to destroy Aralis and seize power from Alpha King Corvath once and for all. Aralis stood on the front line beside Corvath, her two-toned hair whipping in the wind. Though fear lingered at the edges of her heart, a deep resolve now burned within her. Lunara's voice was steady and powerful. "This is the moment, Aralis. Embrace everything you are, your parents' legacy, your royal blood, and the strength of your white crimson wolf. We fight not for revenge, but for justice." Corvath took her hand, squeezing it firmly. "Together," he said, his silver eyes filled with unwavering belief in her. As the enemy forces charged, Aralis closed her eyes and surrendered fully to the shift. Brilliant white light erupted around her. When it faded, her majestic white-crimson wolf stood tall and radiant, rich crimson-red fur glowing with ancient power, brilliant white markings shining like starlight, elegant tribal patterns pulsing across her body, and the turquoise pendant gleaming brightly at her chest. For the first time, Aralis felt completely one with Lunara. No more doubt, no more hiding. She had fully embraced her royal heritage and the proud legacy of her murdered parents. The battle began. Corvath fought with fierce bravery at her side, his powerful wolf form a dark and formidable force. Aralis moved with incredible speed and grace, using her agility to protect their warriors and disrupt the enemy lines. Together, they were unstoppable, a true fated pair united in purpose. Zoroth himself appeared on the battlefield, his face twisted with rage as he confronted his niece. "You should have died as a baby," he snarled. "You have no right to the throne I claimed." Lunara's voice rang with quiet strength inside Aralis. "He took everything from us, but we will not become like him. Show him the power of mercy and justice." Aralis's white-crimson wolf let out a powerful, resonant howl that echoed across the battlefield. The sound carried the weight of truth, of resilience, and of a legacy reborn. Many of Zoroth's own warriors hesitated, moved by the ancient power radiating from her. Larathia fought with bitter fury, but her jealousy and hatred proved to be her undoing. When she tried to strike at Aralis from behind, Corvath intercepted her with calm authority. The battle raged, but through every moment of danger, Aralis and Corvath protected each other. Their bond shone brightly, a symbol of chosen family, of love forged through trials, and of two broken souls finding wholeness together. In the end, justice prevailed. Zoroth was defeated and taken into custody. Larathia's forces surrendered as her treachery was laid bare before all. The alliance of betrayal crumbled beneath the light of truth and courage. As the dust settled, Aralis shifted back to her human form. Corvath was immediately at her side, pulling her into a protective embrace. Tears of relief and triumph filled her eyes. "I did it," she whispered. "I embraced who I truly am." "You were magnificent," Corvath replied, his voice thick with emotion. "My true Luna. My mate." In that moment, the themes of justice, resilience, and chosen family shone brighter than the sun breaking through the clouds. The pack that had once mocked her now looked upon Aralis with awe and respect. The greatest trial had been overcome. The victory was complete. With Zoroth Veyra defeated and taken into custody, and Larathia's treachery exposed before both packs, justice had finally been served. The traitors who had caused so much pain would face the judgment of the United Councils. The shadow that had loomed over Aralis's life for so long had been lifted. In the days that followed, Aralis stood taller than she ever had. Her two-toned hair, snow white and vivid crimson, now flowed freely as a symbol of pride rather than shame. She had fully accepted her true identity, the rightful princess of the Veyra kingdom and the true Luna of the Blackthorn pack. Under a clear, star-filled sky, a beautiful bonding ceremony was held in the same clearing where her wolf had first awakened. The blood moon had passed, replaced by a gentle silver full moon that bathed everything in soft, peaceful light. Aralis walked toward the ancient stone altar, wearing a flowing gown of white and crimson, embroidered with delicate tribal patterns that mirrored her wolf's markings. Corvath waited for her at the center, tall and regal in his ceremonial robes, his silver eyes shining with deep emotion as he watched her approach. Lunara's voice was filled with warmth and joy inside her mind. "You have come so far, Aralis. Your parents are watching over you with pride. This is your destiny, one of love, strength, and healing." When Aralis reached Corvath, he took both of her hands in his. The mate bond glowed between them, strong and radiant, visible to all as a soft, golden light. "From the moment I saw your white-crimson wolf," Corvath said, "I knew my heart had found its home. You have shown me courage, resilience, and the beauty of trust. I vow to stand beside you always, as your mate, your protector, and your partner." Aralis looked up at him, tears of happiness glistening in her eyes. "I spent my life believing I was cursed and unworthy, but you saw me. You believed in me when I could not believe in myself. With Lunara's guidance and your love, I have found my true self. I accept my heritage. I accept my place as your Luna, and I accept the beautiful bond the moon goddess has given us." Under the gentle moonlight, they exchanged vows of eternal commitment. Corvath placed a delicate crown of silver and crimson stones upon her head, officially naming her Luna of the United Pax. When he leaned down and pressed a tender, heartfelt kiss to her forehead, the entire gathering erupted in cheers of celebration. The two packs, once divided by fear and betrayal, now stood united under their rule. Hope bloomed brightly for the future. Healing would take time, but with Aralis and Corvath leading together, a new era of peace and prosperity felt certain. As the ceremony concluded, Corvath pulled Aralis close, wrapping his arms around her. "Our story is only beginning," he whispered against her hair. Aralis smiled, resting her head against his chest. Lunara's voice whispered softly with love. "You are home now, dear one." For the first time in her life, Aralis Veyra felt truly whole. A lost princess reclaimed, a powerful Luna awakened, and a woman deeply loved. Destiny had been fulfilled. Months later, under a soft golden sunrise, Aralis Veyra stood on the balcony of the newly rebuilt royal hall overlooking the United Territories. The once divided packs now thrived together in peace. Flowers bloomed where battles had once raged, and laughter could often be heard echoing through the halls. Aralis's two-toned hair, snow-white and vivid crimson, flowed gently in the morning breeze. She wore a simple yet elegant gown in her signature colors, the turquoise pendant from her wolf form resting warmly against her heart. She placed a hand over the pendant and smiled softly. Lunara's voice spoke with deep affection inside her mind. "Look how far we have come, Aralis, from darkness to light. You have honored your parents beautifully." Aralis closed her eyes, reflecting on her incredible journey. Once an abandoned orphan, mocked and abused as a cursed slave, now she stood as the rightful princess of Veyra and the powerful Luna of a united realm. The pain of her past would always be part of her story, but it no longer defined her. "I was so lost for so long, I fought against you, Lunara. I doubted everything, but you never gave up on me. Thank you for guiding me home." Lunara replied warmly, "We are one, always. Your parents' love and sacrifice live on through you. They would be so proud." Strong arms wrapped around her from behind. Aralis leaned back into Corvath's broad chest as he rested his chin gently on her shoulder. His presence, once intimidating, now felt like the safest place in the world. "Good morning, my Luna," his voice filled with quiet love. "You look radiant as always." Aralis turned in his arms and smiled up at him. "And you, my king, still take my breath away." They shared a tender moment under the rising sun, their mate bond glowing with deep, heartfelt affection. Corvath had become not only her protector and partner, but her greatest source of strength and joy. "I honor my parents every day by choosing kindness, justice, and love," Aralis said softly, "by building the future they would have wanted for me, for all of us." Corvath kissed her forehead with gentle reverence. "And we will continue to build it together. Our packs are stronger because of you. I am stronger because of you." As they stood together watching the new dawn paint the sky in hues of gold and rose, hope filled the air. The shadows of the past had faded, replaced by a brighter tomorrow filled with possibility, healing, and enduring love. Aralis Feyre, once broken, now whole, had found her true home. With Lunara's cherished voice as her eternal guide and Corvath's unwavering love by her side, she was finally ready to embrace the beautiful life the moon goddess had always destined for her. The end. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining Aralis on her incredible journey from a broken slave to a powerful Luna. This story was written as a reminder that no matter how dark your past may be, your true light can never be extinguished. With courage, trust, and love, even the most painful chapters can lead to the most beautiful destinies. To every viewer and listener who has ever felt cursed, unworthy, or alone, may Aralis's story remind you that your own inner wolf is waiting to awaken. You are stronger than you know, and the moon goddess has a beautiful path written just for you. If you enjoyed The Alpha King Rejected His Luna for Me, after he saw my forbidden white crimson wolf under the blood moon, please show your support by liking, commenting, and sharing this audiobook. Your kind words help stories like this reach more hearts. Until our next adventure under the moonlight, with warmth and gratitude, Celine Romance Audiobooks.